Yo, what's up, guys? Happy Tuesday. We're going to look for some bets. We got no NBA, but only a 2-day gap until the NBA Finals starts. And most importantly, we got some WNBA. We got 4 WNBA games. There's a lot of value. So let's go through it. And as always, any questions you have, if I don't get to them in the live stream, you can feel free to email me. Right? Anytime. I respond pretty quick to emails. So where should we start? We can start, maybe on the positive EV tool. So I've explained this before, I know to people who are, really smart, really know what's going on. They already know this stuff. But like as a sports bettor, you want to have as many sports books as possible, right? This is like sports betting 101. All these books have different prices, right? Prices just means odds, right? So all these books have different lines. In sports betting, like it's all about, finding edges, finding value on FanDuel, stuff like that. So if you look through my bet tracker, stuff like that, you'll see I use a bunch of different sports books. I use, like 40. But the thing is different books are legal in different locations. So you may or may not have FanDuel. You may or may not have Caesars. You may or may not have WinBet, whatever. But so I'm just obviously going to focus on the books I use because I want to make money. But the point is like get more sports books. I mean, it's pretty simple. Like you're never going to meet someone who makes money sports betting, a full-time sports bettor, someone who makes a lot of money who only uses one book. And the reason is you never know which book is going to screw up, right? You never know which book is going to be slipping up and offering value, offering profitable bets on a given day. So you can see the first 2 bets are on FanDuel, right? FanDuel, popular sports book, whatever. There's a lot of good bets on FanDuel. I'm currently in California. FanDuel's not legal, but when I'm home, I'm from Virginia, I use FanDuel a lot. I'm up 8.5K on FanDuel this year. I'm getting crushed on Fliff. I'm up big on Underdog Fantasy. So you're gonna run hot on some sports books. You're gonna run cold on some sports books. That's just kind of how it goes. And I'll include this, this is a little breakdown of all the different, we're going to do some jock market picks. We'll do a bunch of different picks, but I'm going to include this, this document just kind of takes you through all these fantasy sites and how many picks are optimal because it's not the same, right? On Prize Picks, we've explained before in other videos and, we have a bunch of videos kind of breaking down the math behind Prize Picks, but on Prize Picks, you basically only want to go with 5 or 6 pick flex plays. So all these platforms are a little different. On No House Advantage, which is another fantasy site, you want to go with 5 pick insured entries. So all these platforms, like if you just break down the math behind their payouts, they all work slightly differently. So if you look at this, parlay play platform, so if I pull this up right here, so this parlay play platform, this is their payout for a 6 pick entry, right? Whereas if you look at Prize Picks, you're going to see they have a lower payout, right? So parlay play, you get 5 out of 6 correct. You get a 2.5x payout. Prize Picks, you only get a 2x payout. You go 4 for 5 on Prize Picks, you only get a 0.4x payout. You go 4 for 6 on parlay play, which is this platform right here, you get a 0.5x payout. So long story short, like this parlay play platform, they have better prices, better odds, however you want to think about it, than Prize Picks has, which changes the strategy a little bit. It's the same thing like for these 3 pick entries, you're going to see, not to pick on Prize Picks, but for 3 pick entries, right, a 3 pick entry, you're only getting a 5x payout on Prize Picks. If you look at Underdog Fantasy, where I already got a play, I got some WNBA, I got an MLB pick for today. But if you look at Underdog Fantasy, any 3 picks you select, you're getting a 6x payout, right? So like all these platforms are a little different. They also all have different promos, right? So like I've explained this before, but like the easiest money you're going to make sports betting is these promos. So you can see they have a free square. Prize Picks already does on the NBA Finals Game 1. Jokic over under half of a point. So I already have an entry with this play. So I'm obviously, assuming Jokic scores at least 1 point, this is going to go 4 for 5. So I'm going to get a $50 payout. But like you got to be taking advantage of these promos. Prize Picks has Taco Tuesday. So I already gave out some picks for Taco Tuesday. But if you weren't able to tail it, if any of these moved, I have no idea. we're going to go through a bunch more picks on Prize Picks, on Underdog, try to find some value. What's up, guys? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? So let's start out, I'll kind of select the books I use. Again, if you use FanDuel, whatever, here's a bet on FanDuel. Take under 8.5 runs in the Brewers Blue Jays game at plus 132 odds, right? The average price is plus 110. This is what's so crazy about sports betting. I don't think a lot of people understand it, why sports betting can be so profitable. So one thing I kind of like to explain in all these videos, and I know for some people who watch every video, it's I know this, but if you look up the price of Facebook stock, it's $264.83. If you go to E-Trade, if you go to Fidelity, if you go to Robinhood, it's going to be $264.83. There may be a couple cents in fees differences between the platforms, but there's no major differences, right? The market is very efficient. Whereas in sports betting, the market is very inefficient. All these books want to be unique. They all want to set lines independently, right? Some books are smarter, sharper than others. That's the word that's used. So for example, Pinnacle, known to be a pretty sharp sports book. So you put more weight into their odds, right? And you can Google it, right? Look it up. Pinnacle's a very sharp sports book. They have articles on their own website about why people can't beat them, right? It's a very sharp bookmaker. So you want to put more weight into their odds. But again, this is what's crazy about sports betting is you get massive differences in prices, right? Prices just means odds. There's no difference. Price odds. I'm not sure who came up with the term odds, but it's a price. So you can see here, this would be crazy. Imagine you were a day trader. You go to Fidelity and Facebook stock is $110, right? You go to FanDuel or E-Trade and it's $132. You go to Robinhood, it's $102, right? It would be pretty easy to make money day trading. You hunt around, you look for value, but that's not possible, obviously, in anything but sports betting. So that's the first reason that you can make a lot of money sports betting, and it's very accessible, right? Is all these books are data points. Every sports book is a data point. They all have slightly different models. They're taking bets from slightly different customers. Some books are legal in different locations. So every book has slightly different lines from one another. If every book had the same odds, we wouldn't need 100 of them, right? But all of these books, right, are a data point telling us where the line should be set. So here, the average line is plus 110, right? You're getting plus 132 on FanDuel. This is a no-brainer. So you use every book as a data point. And a lot of people will be like, oh, you didn't consider how many runs the Brewers put up in the last game. It doesn't matter. It's all baked into the market. People always forget that, right? Injuries, weather, previous historical data, it's all baked into the market. Just Facebook stock is up roughly 1% today. So clearly there was some good news or good economic news because the market has new information. So a lot of times you'll notice, so if I actually just go to Underdog MLB, a lot of these line movements and really good betting opportunities occur. It doesn't look like they have anything yet, but when sports books release, when lineups change, right? So you're going to see here, whatever. Tyler Hero expected to return to the NBA Finals, likely targeting Game 3. Things like this move markets, right? The market has new information. Tyler Hero is probably coming back in Game 3. So the Heat are probably a little more likely to win Game 3. So that affects their NBA Finals odds, right? All of these things move around lines. So you'll see lineup news, injuries, stuff like this. So, for example, there were a lot of player props. Gabe Vincent, he was initially questionable for Monday. Then he was expected to play. So other players on the Heat, all their player prop lines have to switch. It was same for Brogdon, right? Brogdon was questionable, and then it looks like he's going to play on Monday. So that has to affect, other players like Derek White are going to have less minutes. So all of this stuff is what moves around lines and creates these profitable betting opportunities because, again, every sports book has to move lines independently because they all want to be unique. So you can pull up a line movement chart, right? All of these books, they set lines independently when there's new news in the market, player injuries, lineup changes, weather changes, right? They all have to move odds independently as well. So cool. Let's get into some bets. Another thing, well, I guess final thing to mention before we just start hitting some bets is like the reason you can make a lot of money sports betting, even with a low bankroll, and I'm not saying it's easy because it requires time, but is you're typically betting on games that are that day. So even if, let's just say, you could have only a 1% ROI on your bets, there's like the MLB games we're betting on are today. So if you have a 1% ROI, that's a 1% ROI in a day. So over the course of a month, that's 30%, right? So in sports betting, your returns compound very quickly. So if you look up like how much does stock market go up per year, right? It's like 10%, right? If you look at history, the market goes up about 10% and everyone's like, oh, put your money in the market. It's good. It's good investment advice. Stock market goes up roughly 10% a year, which is cool, but this is 4% in a day. 3.79%, but you get the point. That's why sports betting is powerful. Compounding, your returns are daily. I mean, sure, we may have some early bets for not Celtics. I need some smoothie. Heat Nuggets, but like you get the point is like you're typically betting on, games that are that day. So your returns are daily in sports betting, which is why you can make a lot of money doing it. So anyways, the books I'm going to use, I'm currently in California. Sorry if you use FanDuel. Hopefully you were able to tail that play. But our Fliff, No House Advantage, Prize Picks, Underdog Fantasy, what am I missing? Jock Market, and then I want Parlay Play. And then we'll just kind of look for some bets. I'll try to explain them. Anyone, if you have any questions, whatever, don't hesitate to reach out, and hopefully we can get some good bets down. And again, like also another thing is like, don't look too much into a trend. So for example, like a lot of people would be like, oh, you're down money on Fliff Sportsbook. Why would you keep betting on Fliff when you're up a lot of money on Caesars? Why don't you place more bets on Caesars? It's like you're always going to run a little bit hot, a little bit cold on certain sports books. That's just kind of like how it goes, right? Wow. So we got a lot of plays available. Where should we start? And I'll try to tweet out some of these plays as well when I bet them. So like some of these books, for example, Fliff, it's what am I trying to say? It's a sports book that like there's no desktop. It's not like you can bet from your computer. You can only bet, on your phone. So, some of these bets I'm just going to have to place on my phone, but we won't start on Fliff. Why don't we start looking at the WNBA? There's a lot of WNBA games today. And I've explained before, I know the WNBA is not like the hottest sport to bet on or the most popular sport, but like, hey, it's basketball. It's on today. There's 4 games, but most importantly, this is really the most important part, is the market has a lot more inefficiencies, right? Like everyone's so obsessed with, oh, I want to bet on the NFL, right? Which is cool. Like everyone loves football. I get it. But the point is like books watch their NFL lines a lot more closely than they watch their WNBA lines because they're getting more action on it. The stakes are higher, stuff like that. So long story short, let's look for some value. So basically like when I'm using this betting tool, right? This tool is called the Sportsbook Screen. So you can see I actually already have, no, I don't. Well, do I? Let's go to Underdog. So I already have Alicia Gray under 17.5 points on Underdog, but you can see Underdog Fantasy, where is she? Has brought her line down to 17. Parlay Play still has her line at 17.5. The sports books have her at 16.5. So for example, like, this is just kind of rational sports betting. I mean, there's nothing complicated going on. It's like, okay, her line's 17.5 on Parlay Play. It's 17 on Prize Picks and Underdog, lower, and it's even lower on the sports books at 16.5. So like that's a discrepancy, maybe something we want to take advantage of. But anyways, let's get into some picks and hopefully we can find some good plays. So typically, again, like, so there's a lot of plays in, So there's a lot of plays, which I guess we can start with Parlay Play. And, you want to be opportunistic. So like, in terms of promos, like it's pretty simple, right? Prize Picks has a profitable promo today. So that's definitely something you want to take advantage of. Like you're literally getting a 20% discount on the line, which is crazy. But like, you don't know which book is going to have value. I mean, right now there's not a ton of plays on this Jock Market platform. You can check Hot Streak, nothing available on Hot Streak. You can check Sleeper, nothing available, anything on sleeper, but it's just kind of like, again, you want to be opportunistic. You don't know which book is going to have profitable bets on a given day, which is why you want to have as many as possible. And you want to understand, again, like the optimal strategy for each platform, right? So like, again, like if you haven't, checked this out, I'll put it, what's up, guys? What's up, guys? Yeah, you should bet on that. But anyways, let me put this in. Sorry, some questions. I have a question in regards of unit structure. Should I be betting with the 2%? So typically I recommend if you're, looking to manage your bankroll, I mean, technically what's optimal is this little Kelly calculator, Kelly criterion. Basically, it's like, quite similar to how people put more units on bets they believe to be better. It's pretty simple. Like when you're using the positive EV tool, you should probably bet more money on plays that are better. But anyways, the first bet I'm going to go with, we might as well start out and then I'll tweet this out. But, I like to show. Most people don't, right? I like to show. I put my money where my mouth is, So whatever I bet during this live stream, if you tail it, if you don't tail it, hopefully you guys tail it. But regardless, this is the first play I'm going to go with. So we can take Rays under 7.5 in the Rays Cubs game, under 7.5 runs at plus 145 odds on Fliff. And a common thing is like, you can include bets. Sorry, there's a trash truck outside. It's a little loud. But long story short is like pretty annoying. But what am I trying to say? Is a lot of times I'll just include these positive EV bets in a parlay. And the reason is like, parlays are pretty simple, like making money on parlays. That's so annoying. Wow. Can you hear any background noise or am I just talking to myself? This is insane. There's so much background noise. So if you hear any background noise, I apologize. They're doing some construction. But regardless, I included these first two picks in a parlay. So you can see right here, I'm literally just grabbing positive EV picks, including them into my parlay. Like it's pretty simple. A lot of people think like betting on parlays, there's some complicated strategy. There's not. Like if every pick in your parlay is profitable, then your parlay is going to be profitable. So it's common advice, don't bet on parlays. Parlays are bad. But the reason for that is, most people can't make money betting on straight bets. So if you can't make money betting on straight bets, you don't know how to bet on straight bets, then you're definitely going to get killed on these, multi-leg platforms. Like on Prize Picks, you can't only like bet on Sandy over 5.5 strikeouts. You need at least 2 picks. So for people who don't know what they're doing, like you're going to get crushed on these platforms. But anyways, so my first play of the day is going to be on Fliff. Again, they don't have like a web desktop, so I can't show my plays on my computer, but I'll tweet it out. So what I'm on first is those first 2 positive EV bets. So let's go back here. Okay, perfect. So, anyways, so annoying. But anyways, so my first play is right here, right? And you could bet these as straight bets. It doesn't really matter, right? So let's send this tweet. So you can see I'm on the the Nuggets minus 6.5 first half spread and under 7.5 runs in Rays Cubs. 2-leg parlay, 250 to win 1,400 roughly. And I mean, nothing super complicated, right? I'm just grabbing plays, right? The average price on the under 7.5 runs is plus 129. We're getting plus 145 on Fliff. So what you can do is you can pull up, this calculator. Like I've explained in other videos, but this really is a really important calculator in sports betting. What it does is it removes the VIG from a sportsbook's market. So if we look at Pinnacle, and Pinnacle is just one book. So as an example, we'll look at Pinnacle. But again, every book is a data point. Pinnacle is a sharper sports book, but you still want to you want to consider where all books are setting odds. So the average line being plus 129, we're getting plus 145 on Fliff. This seems pretty good, right? So again, this is the play I went with. if you want to tail it on Fliff. Fliff is like, it's kind of interesting because it's a legal sports book, but it's in basically, I think basically every single US state, right? So they're a little different than traditional sports books. They only have a max bet size of $250. There are some differences, but in general, like it's just a really good book to have, especially if you're in, California, whatever. But what you're going to see is right here, right? Like, okay, on Pinnacle, they have their market plus 133 minus 150. So if you remove the VIG, which is exactly what this calculator does, it tells you the true price for a bet. So according to Pinnacle, right, if you remove this little spread they have in their market, the true odds is plus 140. And that's a really important, concept to understand in sports betting is like, I used to be a trader, right? The way a trader works is you have what you believe is like the actual price, and then you make a market, which is exactly how sports books work, which is why sports betting is a lot like trading, right? Which is why I give financial examples. Is like, whatever. You think a stock is worth 10.50, you say, hey, I'll buy it for 10, I'll sell it for 11. You make a market. I'll buy it for 10, I'll sell it for 11. You bake in a $1 spread. So based on the market I'm giving, if I'm like, yo, I'll buy this stock for 10, I'll sell it for 11, you can kind of back out. Based on that, he probably thinks the stock is worth the midpoint, 10.50, right? You just remove the spread. You take the midpoint. That's how it works, right? Like, how does a car dealer work? You go to them and you're like, yo, how much can I sell my car for? They look at your car. They're like, yo, your car's worth $10,000. I'll buy it for $8,000. And then they try to flip it for $12,000. They make markets. That's the way that sportsbooks work. They make markets, right? So when you're trying to figure out the fair price, the true odds, you just got to remove the spread, right? You got to remove the VIG, which is exactly what we did right here. So you remove the VIG, the spread, from Pinnacle's market, and we're looking at Pinnacle. Pinnacle is known to be a sharper sports book, but you can do this for any sports book. Same concept applies. You're going to see the true line, according to Pinnacle, is plus 140, right? So that's the way that sports books work. Pretty simple, right? They have models that spit out what they believe the true price is, and then they slap on the VIG, right? So if I think a stock is worth 10.50 as a trader, I'm going to buy it for 10. I'm going to sell it for 11. If a sports book thinks a bet should be priced, the true line, according to their model, like their models are pretty good. These books have invested a lot of money in their ability to set lines. So the sports book says, yo, we think, the under should be plus 140. The over should be minus 140-ish. That's a market with no VIG, right? That's a market with no VIG. And then they give you worse prices, right? They bake on a spread. So according to Pinnacle, they're like, yo, we think this bet should be priced at plus 140. So we're going to let people bet it at worse odds at plus 133. That's how books work, right? They have models that spit out true odds, no VIG odds, fair odds. Then they slap on their VIG and they hope to get equal action on both sides and make the spread. But anyways, so first play I went with is right there. And then we can keep going through. And you can see there's also some early bets in the first half total points. Here's a good one. Heat Nuggets under 113 and a half. First half total points minus 120, right? Like this play seems pretty good. All the other books are pricing this around minus 135. So there's not a ton of books that have lines posted already for Heat Nuggets. But here's another play with value. And I've explained before, but like, you want to place as many bets as possible as a positive EV better. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this in. But like the reason is when you have an advantage, right, you want to place more bets. It's not like these bets are guaranteed to win. They're just plays with an edge. So the way you can kind of think about that is like if there's a coin that's 53% to show up on heads, if you flip it, right, it's still 47% to show up on tails. But if you flip that coin, let's say 1,000 times, it's definitely going to show up on heads more often, right? So when you have an edge, you reduce your variance by placing a lot of bets, right? Like not all these bets are going to win. I mean, you're going to see, right? I'm literally down money on some sports books. There are winning streaks, there are losing streaks, but it's a pretty simple concept. Like when you have an edge, you're going to win long term. It's like a coin that's 53% to show up on heads. It may show up on tails once when you flip it. So you don't want to put all your money on just one coin flip. But if you could flip that coin 10,000 times, it's basically mathematically, it is like guaranteed to show up on heads more often than tails. But anyways, let's just get into some picks. I'm talking way too much. So what I wanted to do is, okay, I'm going to lock this in as well. So this is under 113.5 in Heat Nuggets. And then we'll kind of get into prize picks. We'll get into these different fantasy sites. And again, maybe you use Fliff already, maybe you don't. But this is a sports book where if you're in the US, it's probably available to you. It's kind of like a new company. It's kind of interesting because they're legal in basically every location. But there's a lot of profitable bets on it. Like, it's pretty simple. Typically what I tell people is like all these platforms, Underdog Fantasy has an $100 sign-up bonus, deposit match, right? Like, take advantage of it. Do the $100 bonus. They literally give you $100 for signing up. You sign up, promo code OddsJam, you get $100. And then you kind of see, which platforms have value. Some platforms have more bets than others. But anyways, let's get into some picks. Okay. So let's go to Parlay Play, and let's just start placing some bets. So on Parlay Play, if I go to, so I want a 6-man flex. So on Parlay Play, you need to win your picks above 53.2% of the time to be profitable. So basically, we're just looking for, if you go to this like little, spreadsheet that I shared before, on Parlay Play, you only want to play 6 pick entries. So it's like, okay, I want to play 6 pick entries. My bets have to be winning above 53.2% of the time. I'm not sure why this is showing. I think OddsJam has a little bit of a rounding error because this plays only 53.15%. But you can see there's 4 picks to start us off right here. Nestor Cortez, over 5.5 strikeouts. So we'll start here. So let me actually just refresh this. Nope. So we'll start with Cortez, over 5.5 strikeouts, right? 53.66% win rate. And, this isn't based on anything complicated. It's just based on, if I pull up DraftKings, so apparently Fluff is illegal in Georgia, which I didn't know. But anyways, what am I going to say? So if you pull up DraftKings, like, the concept is pretty simple. And this is kind of explained in these PowerPoints, right? Like, Prize Picks is a unique platform because you're going to notice it's fixed payouts, right? Like, you take overs, unders, it doesn't matter. You're getting the same payout. So it's different than a traditional sports book, which has a bunch of odds, right? So let's take a look right here, and we'll start with, this play on Nestor Cortez, right? So just like Prize Picks, Parlay Play is a platform where they don't change your payout based on you selecting over versus under. So basically, you just want to look for spots where sports books have one side, pretty heavily favored. Pretty simple concept, right? All of the sports books, you look at DraftKings, they have the over favored. The over is minus 135 odds. The over is the more likely outcome, according to the sports books. So unless you think you're smarter than the market, you're smarter than the sportsbook models, that's a pretty good play. That's a play you want to go with. So the first pick I'm going to take is Cortez over 5.5 Ks, right? This is a platform that doesn't change your payout based on you selecting over versus under. All the books have the over heavily favored. So it's kind of like you're finding a coin, again, that's like weighted in your favor. So basically, we just want to find 6 of those picks because, again, on Parlay Play, 6 pick entries are optimal. Pretty simple. They also offer an $105 sign-up bonus. Take advantage of it. Pretty easy. Get a free $105 for signing up for a sports book. Pretty good. So then we got Caleb Martin, beast, and we're going to take his over, right? Like, I really don't do anything more complicated than follow the data. Like, there's no magic going on here. A lot of people will be like, yo, can you explain more complicated sports betting strategies? And the truth is, so now it's yo, it's like someone's watching my, no, it is green. I'm not sure why I switched from yellow to green, but like a lot of people will be like, yo, you know, you say the same thing in every video. Why can't you talk about new ways to make money on parlay play? And it's pretty simple. This platform, it all boils down to winning over 53.2% of your picks. There is no magic, right? Like there is no silver bullet for making 10 grand on this platform. Like it's really simple. So Bam under 3.5 assists and Bruce Brown under 11.5 points is there's no magic, right? Like it all boils down to just putting in the work. So many people are just lazy. It all boils down to just finding a bunch of picks, winning above 53.2% of the time. If you do that, you make money on the platform. Again, this is a platform that does not change your payout. So we also get a little bit of a positive correlation bump. You can see here, right? Like we're taking Martin. I mean, neither of them are big, passers. They don't have a high assist line, but still we're taking Caleb Martin over in assists and we're taking Bam under. So a little bit of positive correlation there, right? Like I've explained before, but like it doesn't really make sense to take a bunch of players from the same team to go over in the NBA, right? Like it wouldn't make sense to do something like this. Like who isn't scoring points if you make this your prize picks entry? You don't want to take a bunch of overs for the same players, right? Because they're negatively correlated. They can't all go over. It makes no sense, right? But if you take an over and an under, you get a little bit of positive correlation. And what's cool about these platforms is they're not going to change your payout. Again, these are fixed payout platforms. But anyways, so we got Bruce Brown and then we got Bam. So I have 4 picks, but again, you go back to this little sheet and it's like, okay, on this parlay play platform, I want to be placing 6 pick entries. So it's like, okay, let's go to the WNBA and let's see if there's any value. Anyways, let's go ahead. Let's go through it. Oh, man. Okay. So we want to find 6 picks that are profitable on parlay play with win rates above 53.22%. So we can refresh this again. Again, new plays, they kind of come, they kind of go. So we got 4 picks right here, and then we'll switch over to the odds screen and we'll try to find some value in the WNBA. So, and we can actually see there's a pretty good play on Underdog Fantasy. So again, like, I'm trying to keep these videos educational about sports betting. So like, please keep comments just like on topic. I don't want to talk about, I just want to talk about making money sports betting, not some random other stuff. But here's an example of a good play, right? The goal of OddsJam is to help, kind of educate. The goal of these live streams is talk about, sports betting strategy. So this looks like a pretty good play on Underdog Fantasy. I'm trying to get some slips on. So you're going to see right here, Kia Nurse. I have no idea who she is, but her line is 12.5 on Underdog, right? Look at the 2 other fantasy sites. You look at Prize Picks, and we pull up Kia Nurse. Her line's at 11.5. You look at Parlay Play, her line's at 11.5. You look at Betano, which is a sports book. I'm not, super confident what this sports book does, but again, like I don't use this sports book, but it's a data point. You don't have to use a sports book to look at their odds and make more informed betting decisions based on their odds. So Underdog Fantasy, just on the sportsbook screen is pretty clearly too high, right? Their line is off from the rest of the market. So we want to take the under. So I typically just like, kind of like we can start building various slips, some value on parlay play, whatever. And we'll kind of see how it works out. But that's a play to go with on Underdog Fantasy. Well, let me put it back here. And then let's just go back to the WNBA. So here we are. So we need 2 more picks on parlay play. This play seems decent. Alicia Gray under 17.5 points. But maybe we can get something better. I mean, the bigger discrepancies, obviously, the better. So here's an interesting one, right? Like Cheyenne Parker. I mean, there's just so much disagreement in the market in the WNBA. Betano has her line at 16.5 with the under favored. DraftKings has a line at 14.5 with the over favored. Underdog has a line at 14.5. Prize Picks has a line at 15.5. You know, if I were, what you could do is if you use Betano, so this is called a middle in sports betting. You just go to, there's a middle betting tool. But a lot of people, they talk about like betting overs and unders, but they don't talk about necessarily the line they're getting it at. So like getting over 14.5 is very different than getting over 16.5, right? There's a difference between over 14.5 and over 16.5, which is kind of obvious. But like what you can do, and it's called a middle bet, is you can take the over on the book with the lower line, underdog, and you could take the under on Betano, under 16.5. And then essentially, if Parker has exactly 15 points or 16 points, you're going to win your over on Underdog Fantasy. You're going to win your under on Betano. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's just see if there's anything better out there. So here you can see, I mean, more discrepancies, but I tried to look for like clear outliers, right? Clear outliers. So like sometimes, you know, like here, it's like there's nothing clear. So the more, like, ideally, there's one data point that's off from every other sportsbook. And this Betano sportsbook has some whack lines, but still, again, it's a data point on where should the line be set. So here's another one, right? Like Jones, Jonquel Jones, right? Under 10 points looks decent on Underdog. Prize Picks has their line lower at 9.5. Betano's at 8.5. Obviously, there's a bunch of sports books who don't have odds on Jonquel Jones. No idea who she is. But, you know, still not a horrible play to go with. But my assumption is we can actually just see if she's probably on the same team. No, she's not on the same team. So she's not on the same team as Kia Nurse. So again, like I wouldn't want to take unders for player points for two players on the same team, but they're on different teams. So whatever. Sabrina, no value in the market. All books basically have her at 16.5. As usual, Betano, you know, most books, like they have their, they kind of have like evenish odds for the over under 16.5. And then Betano's just at 14.5 with the over favored. So long story short, I don't know. I think that's a Canadian sports book. I'm not sure if it's a new sports book, but it looks like there would be a lot of profitable bets on Betano. But we can switch over to player rebounds, kind of do the same thing. So this play seems really good, right? So here's an example of a play we can go with on parlay play. Alicia Gray over 5.5 rebounds, right? So we want to take her over, and this is actually pretty interesting because I already have her. No, I don't have her. I have Ryan Howard over 5 rebounds. But what you're going to see is like, okay, why is this play good, right? Underdog Fantasy has her line at 6.5, right? 1 rebound is a big deal. Like you can actually pull up FanDuel. So if I pull up FanDuel, we can look at these. So I'll go through this in a second. Yeah, let me go through some jock market plays. Yeah, DFS is popular. So this is a good question. So for platforms, so for traditional sports books, right? And even also Sleeper and Hot Streak, right? So I can also add like also traditional sports books. It doesn't matter. Let me move this down. It doesn't matter how many picks you include in your parlay, right? Like you could place a 3-leg parlay. If every bet is positive EV, you're going to make money, right? Long term. So basically all a parlay is, so let me just pull it up. And I have a little presentation about it that I can share in this group chat as well. So let me go ahead and I'll just share that. But what was I going to say? Is for parlays, it doesn't matter how many picks you include. You could place 2-pick entries, 3-pick entries, 4-pick entries, you know, or 4-pick parlays, whatever. All you're doing is you're increasing your, you know, variance. And by that, I mean, when you're betting on straight bets, you only need one bet to win your straight bet. Whereas when you're betting on a parlay, if you're placing a 4-leg parlay, you got to go 4 for 4. So the payouts are going to be juicier. The payouts are going to be higher, but you're going to have a lower win rate. You're going to win less frequently, right? So basically, by placing parlays, your EV doesn't change, but what you're doing is you're increasing, you know, your variance. Like you're going to win like when you win, it's going to be a big win, but you're going to lose, right? You're going to lose more often than you win. So your profit graph will kind of look like, big win, decline, big win, decline. So it kind of looks more, whereas EV betting is much more consistent because you only need one bet to win. If you place a bunch of 6-pick parlays tonight at plus 25,000 odds, right? Like you're not going to hit most days, but it doesn't really affect the EV. So I typically stick to like 2-pick parlays on Fliff, but it doesn't really matter. So let's go through. Let's finish out this parlay play entry. So we were talking about this pick, right? Alicia Gray's line, 5.5 on parlay play. It's higher. It's at 6 on Prize Picks. It's at 6.5 on Underdog. So according to the 2 other fantasy sites, it's like, okay, the over 5.5 seems pretty good, right? Parlay play is too low. They have her line at 5.5. You look at FanDuel, they also have her line at 6.5. So FanDuel has her rebounds line a full point higher. And then finally, you look at DraftKings, they do have Alicia Gray's line at 5.5, which is the same as parlay play, but you're going to see they have the over heavily favored, right? So the over is pretty heavily favored. So this is a play winning 55.52% of the time. If you just put in DraftKings market, it's minus 140 plus 110, right? Their pricing, just using a no vague calculator. Again, this calculator just tells you the fair price, right? It removes the juice. So on this parlay play platform, you got to win over 53.2% of your picks to be profitable. DraftKings has the over at minus 140, 55% to win, according to where they're setting odds, right? Like, it's really important, but like a lot of people forget that in odd, I mean, this is like, middle school math. In odd is a probability. Like they're kind of like the same thing. Minus 200 means a 2-to-1 betting favorite means 2/3 to win, right? So for example, the Nuggets are minus 360 in game 1. The Heat are roughly plus 295, right? This is just on DraftKings, but let's just imagine the Nuggets were minus 300 and the Heat were plus 300 on every sports book. If that were the case, the market would be telling you the Nuggets are minus 300. That means they are 3-to-1 betting favorites, 3/4 to win, 75% to win the game. That's all that minus 300 means, right? Minus 300 betting favorite means 3/4, 75% to win the game, 3-to-1 betting favorite. But anyways, and parlay play locked it. So let's go back here and we'll try to find, I got to move quicker. So we'll go through, let's see if we can find anything. So this seems decent. Aliyah Boston, her line is 7 on Underdog. It's 6.5 on all the books, right? So that seems decent. This Jonquel Jones one was kind of mediocre. So let's see if we can find something better first. But like here, it's like, right, every data point is telling you the line should be at 6.5. There's really no juice in the market. Prize Picks and parlay play have the line at 6.5. So Aliyah Boston under 7 rebounds. I mean, that seems pretty good, right? So we can go back here, see if there's anything on Underdog Fantasy, and try to complete these slips, right? I'm talking too much. So we can go through the rest of, doesn't look like there's any major discrepancies in the WNBA. I mean, here's one, right? 9 versus 8.5. But like this one is a clear outlier, right? This is exactly what we want to see, right? Underdogs at 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all these other data points at 6.5. That's exactly what we want to see. So we can go over to parlay play. So we have Caleb Martin, Bruce Brown under 11.5 points. So it's the same plays on parlay play. We still need 2 more picks on parlay play, 1 more pick on Underdog Fantasy. Both of these plays seem pretty good if you want to load them up. Aliyah Boston under 7 rebounds, and then the best play was Kia Nurse under 12.5 points. Right? If we go back to player points in the WNBA, you're going to see if we go to Kia Nurse, right? Her line is 11.5 on 2 other platforms. So those are 2 other data points telling us her line should be lower. And then on Betano, it's a 9.5. And again, I don't really know anything about this sports book. They have some weird lines like Joel Lloyd. They have her line at 18.5, but they have her over at minus 200. So they kind of have some janky lines with a lot of juice in one direction. But regardless, still a data point to look at. So then we can go to like player points plus rebounds plus assists. Try to find something, try to find a big discrepancy, right? Bigger discrepancies are better. So here's one, Ryan Howard under 27.5 PRAs. That seems decent, right? 26.5 on prize picks and parlay play. So are there any even bigger middles? Any bigger discrepancies? So like the bigger the discrepancy, the better. Oh my gosh. Here's one we have to be all over. Well, first let's lock in this play on underdog. So if we pull up Howard, right? What did we want? Her under 27.5 PRAs, right? So here we have 3 WNBA picks. I'm literally very confident they auto remove bets after I place them. This company hates me. But regardless, I'm not sure why it's saying 5 out of 5 picks correct. Let me refresh this. 3 out of 3 picks correct. So this is what I'm going to go with. Kia Nurse under 12.5 points. Boston under 7 rebounds. Ryan Howard under 27.5 PRAs. If you want to bet it, bet it now. Again, they tend to move things pretty quickly after I bet it. So these are the 3 picks. I'll give it like 30 seconds. Then I'm going to lock in my bet. So let's keep going because there was a crazy play. Like this play's insane. Like this is what you dream about as a sports bettor. I mean, there's a lot of insane plays, but Arike Aguanbale, her line is, hope I pronounced that right. Her line is 32.5 on parlay play. Prize picks and underdog are at 34.5 and Betano's at 36.5. So that's a play we for sure want to lock in. That over, right? No idea what they're doing. Their line is clearly too low relative to literally every other platform. Betano, again, weird sports book, sketchy sports book, but still a data point. Jessica Shepard is also really low, but I don't really want to include 2 players from the same game to go over in PRAs. They compete for rebounds, whatever, however you want to think about it. But here's one, Ezi Magbegor under 19.5 points. So I'm going to lock this in now, $500 to win 3,000, 5-pick entry on underdog. We don't have permission to view your location. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? How do I share my location with my browser? That's super annoying. So one sec. I definitely want to place this bet. So how do I share my location? Share location with browser. So let me do this quickly. Hopefully you guys are able to lock it in. I'll be on live stream for a bit. So we want to go to settings and then we want to go to location, security and privacy. Okay. And then we want to go to location services, enable location services. Boom. Got it. Okay. There we go. And I want to select Google Chrome. Perfect. And then I want to lock it. Okay. Anyways, what's the plus EV page? Whatever. Do you ever do MLB strikeout props? Anyways, sorry for the delay. Elia removed. Nah, it still looks good. I'm hitting it. Yo, come on. She's still good. Under 7 rebounds. Still looks good to me. Oh my God. Super annoying. $500. I may have to bet it on my phone and then figure it out. This is super frustrating. But I'll pull it up. I'll bet it on my phone. If you didn't bet it yet, this is what I'm trying to go with. I mean, trying pretty hard, but it's so we want to take Boston under 7 rebounds. Boston. Elia Boston under 7 rebounds. And then we'll get into some parlay play picks. Yeah, why is this site so janky? Elia Boston. Boston. There we go. Under 7 rebounds. Okay. I want to take Howard under 27.5 PRAs. Howard under 27.5 PRAs. And then I want to take Nurse under 12.5 points. Done. So that's a 3-pick entry. Nothing moved. So it seems pretty good. Perfect. Okay. So went ahead and locked it in. Hopefully we don't run into this issue again. But 3 picks. And then let's finish out parlay play. So we want to take the over for Arike, right? As you can see right here, her line's 32.5 here, 34.5 on Prize Picks and Underdog. Seems like pretty good value. I mean, it's just data-oriented sports betting. Nothing complicated, exactly how you make money. And then we want to take Ezzy under 19.5 PRAs. Ezzy Magbegor on parlay play. So we want to take her under. And then we have 6 picks on parlay play, right? And again, like, you know, there's nothing complicated to beating this platform. You win 53.2% of your picks. You make money on parlay play. So let's go ahead. We'll lock this in for the max I can. $60. Enable player location services. Oh, there we go. So let's see if that worked. This is so stupid. Enable location. Enable location. Anyways, I may have to. So annoying. Yeah, we can go through rollovers in a second. I'm just trying to figure out how to get these platforms to let me place a bet. This is super frustrating. But please enable player location services. I may take a quick break, come back on live once I figure this out, just so I don't waste everyone's time here. Because this is very frustrating. But yeah, why don't we do that? Okay. Take the location. Anyways, I'll come back on live in a sec once I figure this out. I'm just not trying to waste time.